The mastermind behind the cultivation world, I am the only one in the real world. Traveling through the world of cultivating immortality, Su Ping has diligently and earnestly cultivated immortality for 20 years. Trapped in his qualifications and unable to see the hope of building a foundation, he decided to lie flat and become a wealthy man. Fortunately, the Fisherman game system has been activated. Not only can you obtain game crops that are neither scientific nor immortal through fishing games, but also magical fish species and potholes. You can also exchange the fish catch for the return to the city talisman, allowing Su Ping to return to the water blue star. So, from then on, there were more masterminds in the cultivation world who claimed to be fishermen. Water Blue Star has an additional mastermind behind the scenes who is unique to me. Book Friend Group 850542040 Keywords of the novel. Starting from Fishing Man to Cultivate Immortal Life with no pop-ups, starting from Fishing Man to Cultivate Immortal Life. Download the complete set of TXT, starting from Fishing Man to Cultivate Immortal Life. Read the latest chapters. Chapter 1. Fishing Man System. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. Fishing Man System. The carriage was bumping, and Su Ping slowly opened his eyes. He just had a dream. Dreamed of the days when I had not yet traveled to this world of fairy tales. At that time, he was just over 20, in his prime and full of energy. The long-lost memory of his hometown made Su Ping a bit dazed. Summoning up, Su Ping couldn't help but sigh. Time flies, and unconsciously, I have already left my hometown for 20 years. Looking back 20 years ago, when I first traveled here, I was quite lucky. Just as I crawled out of the primitive mountains and forests in a disheveled state and saw the crowds of people, I met the nearby town where the Immortal sect was holding a promotion event to recruit disciples. Su Ping, who knows this is the world of immortality and chivalry, can't resist the temptation of cultivating immortality in immortality. Participate in it as soon as possible. Then he was detected by the Immortal to have inferior spiritual roots, and naturally became an outer disciple of the Red Yuan Immortal sect. Although Su Ping had already been reminded by the deacon who led him to the entrance at the time of his entry, although the lower-level spiritual roots can cultivate immortals, most of them stop and practice qi, and there is no one among them who can build a foundation. As a traveler, Su Ping naturally tends to believe that he is one of the 10,000 geniuses. Then, 20 years of hard work made Su Ping understand. A self without cheats cannot be that exception. I also understand why the Immortal sect would have accepted this inferior spiritual root that cannot build a foundation. Although the mortal kingdom where the Qiyuan Immortal sect is located has a population of billions, those with spiritual roots are only about 1 in 100,000. And the inferior spiritual roots occupy the vast majority of them. For the Immortal sect, in order to maintain the number of disciples, it is almost customary to recruit a group of low-level cultivators every few years as external disciples. And as a low-level cultivator, it is still very valuable for the Immortal sect. Not to mention the rumored foundation building. The spiritual fields, mines, and even those with cultivation skills developed by the Immortal sect require these low-level cultivators to shine and heat up in order to succeed. During the 20 years of Su Ping's cultivation, he sought to obtain cultivation resources and even complete necessary immortal tasks. He also planted spiritual fields for the Immortal sect, dug spiritual mines, and even helped alchemists control fire, polished ink for talismans, and waved flags for formation mages. The remaining time is not only for cultivation, but also for cultivation. Even at the age of 40, he has never been to the Immortal Tower even once, and even a lovely nun has never been able to get along. Unfortunately, despite such efforts, the rewards are disproportionate. As both lower-level spiritual roots, Su Ping, who was working hard, got stuck in the third layer of qi cultivation and couldn't make any progress. Although the companions of the same period were all lower-grade spiritual roots, they mostly practiced between the 5th and 6th levels of qi. The best performer even broke through to the 7th level of Qi cultivation and became the external deacon of the Immortal sect. He is occasionally taken out as a role model among the disciples of the outer sect, inspiring his junior brothers and sisters to work hard in farming and mining, in order to exchange for more resources and cultivate immortality well. And Su Ping also failed to break through the 4th layer of Qi cultivation for the 17th time a month ago. I have to recognize the reality that there is a huge difference between inferior spiritual roots and inferior spiritual roots. Su Ping, who comes from Aquarius and has knowledge of another world, did not walk into the dead end of cultivation like most old cultivators. Su Ping realized that he needed to lie flat and let go of his obsession with cultivating immortality. Putting aside his obsession, Su Ping felt relaxed all over and had an intuition that he could live a few more years. Immediately, Su Ping found the same deacon and received the task of guarding the mortal sparrow city from him. Jinkai City is one of the many major cities in the mortal kingdom under the jurisdiction of the Qiyuan Immortal sect. For such mortal strongholds, the Immortal sect usually arranges 1 or 2 low-level cultivators to guard them, preventing minor disturbances and also serving as supervisors. Just guarding a mortal city that is far from the spiritual pulse and lacks spiritual energy is almost like cutting off the path of cultivation for the future. Generally speaking, only external disciples who are old and frail and plan to return to the mortal kingdom for health and happiness will go to pick them up. The external gatekeeper was somewhat surprised that Su Ping would take on this task. But he quickly realized something and did not mock or make things difficult, but expressed understanding. He also gave Su Ping a small amount of spirit stones as a gesture of friendship during the same period. While making Su Ping grateful, he couldn't help but secretly lament that no wonder others could serve as external deacons with a lower-level spiritual root. Master, the Lingyue Lake has arrived. Just as Su Ping was recalling, suddenly, a soft and pleasant female voice came from outside the carriage. But after Su Ping arrived at Jinkai City and received the beautiful farmland house gifted by the Lord's mansion, the local wealthy family sent her a personal maid named Pinger to remind her that the location of her trip had arrived. Su Ping responded and slowly lifted the curtain to get out of the luxurious decorated carriage. For Su Ping, who has experienced technological civilization, the carriage of this world is not comfortable. But there is no way, the spiritual energy of the mortal kingdom is thin, and it is quite troublesome to recover the used mana. In addition, Su Ping's previous accumulation has been used for cultivation, and now he can't even bring out a tool for transportation. Carriage transportation is already the best choice. As a determined cultivator, in this world lacking entertainment, if we don't study our skills, we will only be left with listening to music and playing in the mountains and rivers. Su Ping was very clear about his position, and after arriving in Jinkai City, he did not refuse to please the wealthy gentry and quickly accumulated a considerable family fortune. After getting tired of listening to music privately for a while, I followed the advice of the butler and chose this Lingyue Lake for sightseeing. Located on the outskirts of the city, Lingyue Lake is a well-known attraction of Jinkai City and a major fishing destination. It is rumored that there is a red-blooded spirit fish in the lake centered around the mountains. As long as one can catch it, ordinary people can also cultivate immortality. Young masters and young ladies from various families who do not have immortal connections have formed groups to come here and enjoy the beautiful scenery, while also fishing and encountering immortal connections. Occasionally, there may be 1 or 2 fish caught, which are then processed into delicious dishes by professional chefs from nearby Lingyue Villa. Eating the fish caught by oneself by the lake is also considered a beautiful thing. Su Ping came to the lake and felt the gentle breeze brushing his face. He nodded slightly, acknowledging that the beautiful scenery was no less than that of his hometown. However, based on the concentration of spiritual energy he felt in the lake water, 9 out of 9 rumors about Lingyue were spread by the landlords of this place for the sake of fame. This kind of lake water, even the best-kept small black spirit fish in the Immortal sect, will degenerate into ordinary fish species when released, let alone any red blood spirit fish that can change their root bone qualifications. Of course, Su Ping has no intention of debunking this lie. Making money is not shabby. Anyway, he is a special guest, and all expenses in this Lingua lake are free. Su Ping took the fishing rod from the servant closely following him. Although there are no spirit fish in the lake, they all come here. If we don't catch them, wouldn't it be in vain? Even Su Ping planned to quietly use a little magic to gather the fish schools in the lake, so that he could successfully fish for the first time in his life and become the strongest fisherman in the history of this lake. Anyway, there's no way to cultivate immortality and longevity. Why don't you have some fun and be more carefree? Sitting on the wooden stool carefully placed by the maid, Su Ping waved his fishing rod and glanced around, already pondering the question of where to stand the statue of his strongest fisherman for good feng shui. Accompanied by a gust of wind, the fishing rod drew a silhouette, and the baited hook of the servant sank into the lake. Puff! The sound of entering the water was not loud, but Su Ping suddenly widened his eyes. He looked at the virtual panel suddenly popping up below the corner of his eye with some uncertainty. Some people suspect that they have been waiting for cheats for too long, which has led to mental problems. Close your eyes and exhale, silently recite the Qingxin mantra once, then open your eyes again. Su Ping's mouth couldn't help but curl up. It's not an illusion. My own golden finger has really been activated. But this is just too ridiculous. It's amazing that you have to be a fisherman to activate it. Is it because I happen to be playing a fishing game in an open world before traveling? The Fishing Man fishing system has been activated, current fishing level. Level 1, 0/100, current fishing spot evaluation. First level lower grade, currently, the fishing points have accumulated the number of times they can fish. 100/100, fishing species. Small blue carp, large blue carp, green spirit fish, red blood rainbow carp. Seeing the virtual panel clearly, Su Ping suppressed his excitement and lifted his fishing rod to prepare for a new throw. He plans to figure out what his golden finger is for and what it can bring him. After resting for a while, Xiaobai finally decided to open a new book. I hope you can still remember, Xiaobai, how much support you have. Sigma greater than over equal to less than or equal to, sigma. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Immortal Cultivation and Longevity Through Fishing. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. Immortal Cultivation and Longevity Through Fishing. Puff. The fishing hook enters the water again. Su Ping immediately sensed the information he had previously overlooked. But at the moment of entering the water, the virtual panel will pop up a reminder to start the fishing game. Then, the operation interface of the fishing game appeared in front of me. The operation is very simple. Follow the prompts and master the tightness of the fishing rod after the fish is hooked. For cultivator Su Ping, this can be said to be an easy task. A few minutes later, as Su Ping completes the first fishing game. Instant updates on information flow. Gain fishing experience +1, current fishing level. Level 1, 1/100, obtain little green fish +1, obtained fish catch, opened fishing mall. Su Ping looked at the empty fishing hook below the water surface, then looked at the virtual panel and vaguely realized. Lingua Lake and fishing rod are just the medium for starting the fishing game. I didn't really catch the fish in Lingua Lake, and I didn't even need to throw them again. Everything just needs to be done in my consciousness. The fish obtained through fishing games will be directly stored in the game warehouse, which saves the trouble of being seen abnormally by outsiders. Su Ping thought for a moment and entered the fishing game again. At the same time, while playing fishing games, I also checked the fishing mall. At this sight, Su Ping was immediately overjoyed. Fishing malls are linked to fishing levels, and currently they are only at level 1. But the few items that could be exchanged inside were enough to excite Su Ping. The fishing mall requires fishing coins, and the little green fish just caught by Su Ping can be sold directly to the mall for fishing coins in addition to being enjoyed in real life. In the exchange items provided by the fishing mall, there are 3 game props: Life Medicine, Magic Medicine, and Purification Medicine. And a special item that requires 100 small green fish, 10 large green fish, and 1 green spirit fish to exchange. The Return to City Charm. Life Medicine. Immediately restores 100 health points and continuously restores health for the next 30 seconds. Exchange for 10 fishing coins, Magic Elixir. Immediately restores 100 mana points and continuously restores mana for the next 30 seconds. Exchange for 10 fishing coins, Purification Medicine. Immediately relieve all negative states at or above level 3, exchange for 20 fishing coins, Return to City spell, unique. After use, it can be immediately teleported back to the default or temporary teleportation point, with a cooldown of 12 hours. Exchange required: 100 small green fish, 10 large green fish, 1 green spirit fish. The familiar prop names and introductions reminded Su Ping of the information about the fishing game he played before crossing the river. After practicing Qi, Su Ping's memory became excellent. He remembers that it was a fishing game attached to a large open world. Therefore, the props inside also come from a large world with a grand fantasy background. If the materialized function after exchange is identical to the game data, Su Ping silently swallowed his saliva. Not to mention the help of Life Medicine and Magic Medicine in cultivation and combat. It's that purifying spiritual medicine. If it's also effective against erysipelas, wouldn't it be possible to turn waste into treasure and quickly improve cultivation by using Krypton Waste Pill? In addition, there is the Return to the City charm, and the default teleportation point in the game is the village where the protagonist was born. If I use it myself, will it be teleported to the forest after crossing? Or can it be teleported back to one's place of birth before crossing? If it's the latter, can't I rely on the combination of the default and temporary teleportation points set by this city return spell to travel back and forth, so as to obtain help from 2 worlds? Su Ping suddenly realized that his dream of cultivating immortality and immortality might have a chance of success again. I saw that a small green fish can only be exchanged for 1 fishing coin. Su Ping, who had hope in his heart, reminded his attendants to keep quiet and not disturb his interest. He devoted himself wholeheartedly to the fishing industry. Su Ping enjoyed the pleasure of fishing, watching the fishing experience +1 prompt pass by while feeling happy. The maids and servants waiting on the shore couldn't hold their tension anymore. They couldn't see the virtual interface, they could only see the noble immortal master in their eyes, as if they hadn't caught a single fish. As time passed, the reality that no fish had caught the bait made the maids and servants quietly bow their heads, afraid of angering the immortal master who was facing difficulties. Even if the immortal master looks very gentle this month. But I just thought about the background of this old master and the solemn admonitions from the elders in the clan before coming. Where can these servants really not worry or be afraid in their hearts? Therefore, the maid Pinger suppressed the idea of suggesting that Mr. Su Ping change the bait. Even when he saw other tourists nearby who wanted to visit the immortal master, he drove the servant to intervene in advance, lest they disturb the master's fishing pleasure. Not far from Lingyue Lake, the top floor of Lingyue Tower stands on a small hill in Lingyue Villa. A middle-aged man wearing a gorgeous robe with a slightly thin figure was standing by the railing, holding a delicate binocular in both hands and looking at Su Ping fishing in the distance. Standing beside him was a bald man with a tiger back and a bare waist, named Ji Hu. He was the guardian of Jinkei City and also the legitimate son of one of the largest families in the area, the Ji family. He also looked toward Su Ping's direction and chuckled, saying, "Lord, this cultivator Su Ping is quite carefree. He accepted the beautiful farmland, gold, silver, and jewelry we gave him without any hesitation. I've been watching plays and listening to music in Zhuangzi for a while now, and now I'm fishing in this Lingua lake. I live even more happily than those who are dying of old age. The middle-aged man, who was the lord of the city, frowned slightly. He, also from a local wealthy family, was somewhat puzzled by Su Ping's luck in fishing. As a beginner fishing for the first time, it's hard to say big fish, but small fish and shrimp are still easy to catch. But he didn't inform his companions about the abnormality, just whispered. Let's observe and not be deceived. After all, this inspector is too young. Upon hearing this, Ji-hu nodded in agreement. They, the aristocratic families of these mortal kingdoms, naturally do not know nothing about immortal sects and cultivators. In fact, in the mortal kingdom, whether it is the royal family or the wealthy, their ancestors were all cultivators. Without any background, it's not their turn to enjoy these glory and wealth. For thousands of years, they have also had descendants with bloodlines who possess spiritual roots and join the immortal sect to become cultivators. Before, Jinkai City also encountered immortal cultivators like Su Ping who chose to enjoy happiness. As hosts, they naturally dare not neglect such distinguished guests. Even convene meetings with major families, and then divide some industries to ensure that the other party has no worries about food and clothing. At the same time, younger generations can quickly integrate into the Golden Bird City and eventually become part of the heritage of the Golden Bird City family. But over the years, there have always been those who have a greedy nature and are not satisfied with the wealthy but want to further their immortality. At this moment, it is time for these wealthy clans to play a role in making the other party understand difficulties and retreat. Su Ping's performance at the beginning of his tenure has satisfied the local residents of Jinkai City. Both sides performed very harmoniously. But Su Ping's age made them restless. In their view, Su Ping, who is at most in his 40s, can still live for at least 60 years based on the longevity of a cultivator. A cultivator who has been occupying a place for 60 years without dying. This is a challenge they haven't encountered since the construction of Jinkai City. After all, which of those inspectors in the past didn't have to die of old age or suffer heavy damage, leaving only 4 or 5 years of good life, before they became disheartened and broke off the path of cultivating immortals to bully these ordinary people? Even the cultivators among their own children can return as little as possible. The person who lived the longest in the history of Jinkai City only lasted for 7 years. This Su Ping cultivator can live for at least 60 years without any unexpected circumstances. Enough to send them all the older generation away. Even if he doesn't do anything, after 20 or 30 years, his descendants will grow up and he will still not die. We need to give up a considerable share of the benefits of Jinkai City. Thinking of this, the middle-aged man began to feel a headache, constantly worrying about gains and losses. He put down his binoculars and ordered his attendants beside him to say, "Wait for someone else, wait for the inspector to finish fishing, and immediately invite him to come to this Lingua Tower for a drink." Sigh. I hope our supervisor is truly what he said when he came, a good person who is easy to get along with. Otherwise, after all, he is a cultivator from the immortal sect, making things look ugly would be troublesome. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Purification Medicine. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. Purification Medicine. Fishing Experience +1. Fishing Experience +1. Congratulations, fishing level has increased. Current fishing level. Level 2, 0/500. At present, the number of fishing spots available has been exhausted. Please continue next time. Su Ping's mechanical fishing movement, sitting upright on the wooden stool, finally stopped with his 100th fishing experience +1 brushing the corner of his eye. The 100 fishing attempts accumulated in Lingua Lake were exhausted by Su Ping's uninterrupted fishing operations in the afternoon. Su Ping was somewhat unhappy about this. He, who has been cultivating immortality for many years but has limited strength, is very satisfied with this kind of fishing game where rewards come with effort. Fortunately, Su Ping learned through information flow prompts that this first order an inferior fishing spot can be restored a certain number of times per week. You don't have to worry about not being able to sustainably go all out fishing. And Lingyue Lake is just the beginning. The world of cultivating immortals is so vast, and there are so many blessed places. There must be too, and I don't have to worry about not finding more and better fishing spots in this world. However, before that, accumulating fishing resources in a safe mortal kingdom and becoming stronger is undoubtedly the safest choice. Although I haven't seen it firsthand, there are rumors that ordinary cultivators get immortality, are snatched, robbed, and ultimately die and disappear every few years. After tidying up his mood, Su Ping checked the results of his 100 fishing trips. Firstly, the fishing level was successfully promoted to level 2. Then a total of 80 small green fish and 20 large green fish were added to the warehouse. Although I couldn't catch the green spirit fish and exchange it for the return to the city talisman that I care most about. Su Ping was not in a hurry either. As the fishing level increases, the chance of catching rare fish species will only increase. It's only a matter of time before I catch the green spirit fish while fishing here. One big green fish can be exchanged for 5 fishing coins. By adding one small green fish to each one, you can earn 180 fishing coins and exchange all 3 types of elixirs for use. Su Ping suppressed the urge to exchange immediately in his heart and looked at the empty fish bag around him. Glancing behind her, she lowered her head as if afraid to look at her maids and servants. Su Ping smiled lightly at the corner of his mouth, lifted the fishing rod, removed the bait, and threw the hook back into the lake. However, this time Su Ping did not continue the fishing game, but instead infused his mana into the fishing gear. The bait-free fishing hook immediately seemed to have come to life, and after diving into the water, the trend did not diminish as it collided with the head of a plump grass carp in the nearby water area. The big grass carp, which happened to be wandering in the nearby water area, was immediately knocked unconscious and was about to roll over and float up. The fishing hook, however, trapped the body of the large grass carp with the fishing line, and then the hook did not fit into the fish's mouth to fix it. Accompanied by a tremendous force, this large grass carp, weighing at least 10 pounds and looking quite plump, was caught by Su Ping on the shore of the lake, becoming the first fish caught by Su Ping, the immortal master, in the eyes of everyone. Several close attendants with good eyesight heard the commotion and looked in the direction of Su Ping, their eyelids twitching. They secretly said that they deserved to be the master cultivator and had the ability. They could still fish like this. Sure enough, during that time, the master didn't know how to do it. Was it just intentional? Perhaps there is a mindset that tests the character of these newcomers inside. It is also possible that they have learned that there are noble envoys waiting in the Lingyue Tower, intentionally neglecting them. After fishing all afternoon, finally some fish caught the bait. It's not early, let's call it a day. With the fish caught, at least it can be considered as fulfilling the fishing man's obsession of not being an Air Force, without insulting the dignity of a fishing man. Su Ping stood up and ended this fishing game. Then, Su Ping received an invitation from the city lord. Su Ping, who plans to continue his growth in Lingyue Lake for a period of time, also has the intention of acquiring this industry and naturally will not refuse. In the Lingyue Tower, after being well fed and drunk, Su Ping bluntly stated that he had a crush on this Lingyue Lake. At first, the city lord and others were surprised at how dare Su Ping, the inspector, dare. So many beautiful fields and houses, as well as beautiful and long-legged concubines and maids. Is this moving towards the core industries of their major families? Without waiting for them to communicate with each other, refute and refuse, Su Ping, who disdains to engage in intrigue with these ordinary and wealthy people, expressed that he will take out spirit stones as compensation. And explain that I plan to live in this Lingyue Lake in the future, which will be behind the ancestral home of the Su family. The city lord who owned a portion of the shares of Lingyue Lake, as well as the city guard Ji Hu and others, immediately agreed on behalf of other families. In the mortal kingdom, spirit stones are much harder currency than gold and silver. And this thing will always be valuable without a market. After all, who wouldn't want to purchase more spirit stones to provide for their own cultivator children in the immortal sect to use, so that they have the opportunity to go further and ensure the longevity of the family? In addition, the miraculous elixirs that can cure various diseases in the eyes of ordinary people are almost only available through the purchase of spiritual stones. The chiefs and elders of various families all want to live a few more years. So, as Su Ping took out the spirit stone, the dissatisfaction of major families with it dissipated. As long as it's not a matter of identity, then this inspector is still their own. Even afterwards, many elderly people spoke on behalf of Su Ping, the supervisor, feeling that the other party's willingness to give up the spirit stone really broke their upward heart. The Su family in 100 years must be another pillar of the Jinke city. Lingyue Mountain Villa. As the Lord took over Su Ping's spirit stone, that night, the butler of the villa completed the handover with Su Ping's butler and left the villa with the old man along with the Lord's convoy. Su Ping also moved into the newly cleaned and renovated main house of the mountain villa. I instructed the maid Pinger to meditate and cultivate herself, and no one should disturb me. Su Ping closed the door and called out the fishing mole. A few seconds later, a golden light flashed through the room. An amber medicine bottle, about the length of an adult's little thumb and with a capacity of 10 milliliters, appeared in Su Ping's hand. Successfully exchanged purification potion, fishing coins .20. Su Ping looked at the amber-colored elixir and slowly leaned towards the tip of his nose. He immediately smelled a faint fragrance. This fragrant scent made him quite comfortable and aroused a strong desire to drink it. Obviously, both my body and subconscious have discovered that this purifying elixir has great benefits for me. Su Ping no longer hesitated and directly poured it into his mouth. The entrance of this spiritual medicine turned into a warm current that filled Su Ping's entire body. The purification elixir works extremely quickly, but in the blink of an eye. Su Ping felt a burst of black smoke coming out of his body. Then Su Ping, who felt much lighter up and down, regained a sense of rebirth and immediately crossed his knees in bed, entering a state of meditation and inner vision. Immediately, the result of the internal inspection made Su Ping ecstatic. I have been practicing at the Red Lantern Immortal sect for 20 years, and I can obtain 3 Peiyuan pills for cultivation every year. But as long as it is a medicine, there is 3 parts of poison, even spiritual pills are the same, and there will be the production of erysipelas. A cultivator with a normal lower-grade spiritual root can only take 1 Peiyuan pill per month, and then practice hard for several months until the poison is completely eliminated before continuing to take auxiliary cultivation. But how can erysipelas be so simple and completely rejected? Even top-quality spiritual pills can only ensure minimal residual erysipelas. And the accumulation of erysipelas is rumored to affect the difficulty of cultivators breaking through the realm. So in the Immortal sect, true mid to high-level spiritual root cultivators, in addition to breaking through the great realm, either do not take spiritual pills or only take top-grade pills in their daily cultivation. I'm afraid that even if I rely on the power of elixirs to quickly cultivate and complete my qi cultivation, it will be difficult to break through and build a foundation due to the influence of elixirs. I used to want to avoid relying on pills. But with my qualifications, I couldn't even feel the increase in mana if I didn't take the Peiyuan pill. I'm afraid I couldn't even reach the current 3rd level of qi cultivation. So, my body has residual erysipelas, and I won't be much worse than other external disciples. Su Ping thought of this, but no longer felt pain about his own lack of qualifications. On the contrary, he clenched his fists and his eyes flashed with sharpness. The purification elixir has taken effect, directly clearing all the erysipelas on my body. Not only that, but several hidden illnesses that my body had previously developed due to cultivation and labor have just been cleared. My current body is as pure as those immortal disciples who do not rely on elixirs and have never overworked themselves. I didn't expect that one day, Su Ping would also have the same starting point as those truly proud sons of heaven. No, it's not just that. Su Ping experimented with the ability to purify the elixir, and immediately began to fantasize. As someone who is not afraid of erysipelas, I can definitely go to the cultivator's workshop to purchase discarded elixirs for cultivation. Those useless and inferior pills, even outsiders cultivators dare not take them. They can only be used to cultivate warriors or pets in the mortal kingdom. But for me, they are still spiritual pills and treasures. Don't worry about me, the speed of my future cultivation will only depend on the speed at which my body absorbs the power of the elixir. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. 1000%. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4 1000%. Su Ping has broken through the fourth layer of qi cultivation. He didn't do anything, just took a nap. When you wake up, you have already reached the fourth level of qi cultivation, officially entering the middle stage of qi cultivation. Su Ping was not surprised by this. He had already accumulated knowledge and was only one step away from the fourth floor. With the help of purifying spiritual medicine, the erysipelas were cleaned and hidden diseases in the body were repaired. Promotion is a natural thing. After sitting in the morning sun for a while, I became familiar with the 4 levels of qi cultivation that I had been longing for the next 20 years. Su Ping took out the storage bag he carried with him. This ordinary person's fist-sized storage bag is made from the skin and fur of the demon beast, the empty mouse. However, the fist-sized bag has a cubic meter inside and can store thousands of kilograms of weight without making the carrier feel uncomfortable. It is actually a must-have item for the vast number of cultivators who cannot afford real space storage at home. Thanks to the elder of the Red Yuan Immortal sect, who solved the problem of large-scale breeding of empty air mice 500 years ago, the value of storage bags was directly reduced to the bottom. This allows external disciples like Su Ping to save money and buy one. Su Ping took out the map from the bag. I quickly found the most suitable place to visit around Jinke City. Juyifang. Juyifang is located on Juyishan, 300 kilometers away from Jinke City, and is a semi-official neighborhood city. The managers of the local market come from the Nine-Leaf Cloud family, which is affiliated with the Immortal Gate. This Yun family once had an Immortal sect elder. Now there are also several members of the clan who are inner disciples or deacons of the Immortal sect. In addition, the level of Juyifang City is relatively low, and the customer base is mainly cultivators like Su Ping who voluntarily descend to the mortal world, as well as those who have not been able to enter the Immortal sect but have inherited the tradition due to various reasons. This type of casual cultivation is mostly a pseudo-spiritual route that is not even a lower-level spiritual route, and very few are lucky ones who missed the Ascension Society and have had the opportunity to improve their own spiritual routes. Poverty and poverty are their greatest characteristics. Therefore, it does not constitute a significant conflict of interest for the official market. As a behemoth on this land, the Red Kite Immortal sect also tacitly accepted this. 100 kilometers is not much distance for Su Ping, who has practiced 4 layers of qi. After eating millet porridge carefully cooked by the maid, Su Ping set out. Before noon, he saw Jui Mountain surrounded by clouds. Looking at the mist in front of me, the benefits of being a member of the Immortal sect became apparent. Even if it was just an unremarkable outer disciple, Su Ping raised his identity token before falling into the mist. The mist immediately dissipated, revealing a road leading to Jui Mountain. Along the way, almost reaching the mountaintop, Su Ping entered the area of the square city and felt the spiritual energy that made him happy both physically and mentally. Following closely, the fog around completely dissipated. The 9-leaf square, surrounded by dozens of acres of spiritual fields, also fell into Su Ping's eyes. This Jui Mountain has a lower-level spiritual vein, which is the basis for the construction of the Fengshe, Ling Tian, and surrounding mist formation. Su Ping briefly reported his almanac at the door and was able to enter Juifang. Then, Su Ping discovered that he, who had practiced 4 layers of qi, had become a master in the local market. Looking around, pedestrians or vendors often dress up as swordsmen or scholars. Each one has an extraordinary appearance, at least 1/5 of their own charm. Upon closer inspection, it turns out to be mostly a loose cultivation with a weak foundation for qi cultivation. Occasionally, there are 1 or 2 second layers of qi cultivation, which are rare occurrences. There is no way, even if the pseudo-spiritual root works hard and enters the stage of qi cultivation, it is limited to the first or second level of qi cultivation. Without any chance, it is almost impossible to enter the middle stage of qi cultivation. Su Ping looked at those vendors and found that they were mostly selling ordinary items. He didn't intend to waste time either, so he went straight to the most prominent Yunbao building owned by the Yun family in the neighborhood. At this point, Su Ping finally saw a cultivator of the same level as himself, a white-haired and old man guarding this place. At a glance, Su Ping could confirm that the mindset of this old monk was not much different from his own a month ago. I just chose to be the inspector of the mortal city. And this one, perhaps a family cultivator, chose to come here to serve the family and unleash their energy. The old monk was shocked when he saw Su Ping and mistook him for a normal disciple of the Immortal sect who had gone down the mountain for training. There's no way, although Su Ping looks a bit old, after being washed with purification medicine, he now gives people a gentle and pure feeling. Coupled with his age, he seems to belong to the stage where he can still fight in the cultivation world. It is difficult to believe that he will be a self-destructive inspector of the mortal world. Therefore, the old monk was quite enthusiastic towards Su Ping, actively welcoming him without saying anything, and even shouting for his followers. A distinguished guest is here. Hurry up and serve the tea, good tea. After a brief rest, the old monk introduced Su Ping to the collection of Yunbao Tower. It is said to be a treasure, but in fact, it is mostly a few magic tools or talismans that can be used in the early stage of qi cultivation. The Peiyuan pill, which Su Ping has also taken, is also a treasure in this Yunbao building. Shopkeeper, I don't know how to sell waste pills on your end. Su Ping scanned these treasures that were 20% more expensive than the normal market price and asked for help. Abandon Dan. The old monk glanced at Su Ping and felt a bit disappointed, but his face still maintained enthusiasm. How many waste pills does Dao Yu plan to take? We mainly have 2 types of Pei Yuan Dan Fei Dan and Qi and Blood Dan Fei Dan here. The Qi and Blood waste pill can help martial artists quickly improve their cultivation and reach the realm of a master. Although this Peiyuan abandoned pill may not have the best effect on martial artists, it excels in its mild medicinal properties. In addition to increasing martial artists' cultivation, it can also be used to strengthen ordinary people's health. Of course, it cannot be eaten too much. Dandu only hinders our cultivators' cultivation and breakthrough, but it can take the lives of those ordinary people. Also, perhaps it was because he noticed that Su Ping had little exposure to the mortal world, and in order to sell more spirit stones, the old monk continued to remind him. Peiyuan abandoned pill can also be used to feed those spiritual beasts. My Yin family has a steed spirit beast that was obtained by feeding waste pills to herdsmen. Once you become a spirit beast, not to mention a steed, it's just a spirit fish that can sell several spirit stones. Upon hearing this, Su Ping's heart moved. He naturally wouldn't believe these sales tactics, he just realized the key. On the surface, Su Ping shook his head. It sounds beautiful, but what is the success rate? And I believe that even if we find a spiritually charged mortal beast and feed it the waste pill, we probably won't be able to become a spiritual beast, right? And just like ordinary people, these mortal beasts also have accumulated elixirs, can't they eat more waste elixirs? The old monk didn't refute the words and nodded, saying, Indeed, as my Taoist friend said, it just adds an extra purpose to this useless pill. If you really have spiritual beasts, you can give them a try. Even if they don't succeed, using these beasts that have eaten the waste pill to guard the mortal family's house will not be worse than those ordinary warriors, and they will be more loyal. Su Ping pretended to be moved and nodded slightly. But in my heart, I thought of the purifying elixir of the fishing mall. Relying on this unscientific purification elixir that does not cultivate immortality, combined with the equally effective life elixir, to forcibly renew one's life. Any beast that cannot die can eat into death. The success rate of cultivating mortal beasts to become spiritual beasts on one's own, it could only be 1000%. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Cultivating Spirit Rats. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. Cultivating Spirit Rats. Linkshare has a strong purchasing power in elixirs. A low-level talisman that can only be purchased with 2 or 3 spirit stones if it doesn't start, with a price tag of 2 digits. Pills, as long as they are not top-quality pills, will not be too expensive. A spirit stone can buy 2 to 3 intermediate peiyuan pills. More than 120 peiyuan abandoned pills can be exchanged. The price of such pills is also a deliberate result of the Red Yuan Immortal Sect's efforts to better cultivate the inner sex Jianjiao. The vast majority of spiritual medicines in the cultivation world, for some reason, contain some kind of toxin, which is harmful to practitioners and cannot be eaten raw. The key to alchemy lies in repelling the toxins in the medicinal herbs while preserving their efficacy as much as possible. Therefore, in this territory, the yield rate of a mature alchemist producing a pill once is usually 7 wastes, 2 inferiors, and 1 medium. High-quality pills rely entirely on luck, and can only be achieved by refining them enough times. And due to the presence of erysipelas, Jianjiao people do not eat non-high-quality pills. So with the push of the Jianjiao people and the tacit approval of the senior management, the result is that for alchemists, the top-quality pill that only appears under the very small chance of coincidence above the intermediate level has become their true profit source. Each high-quality pill is priced 100 times higher than a mid-range pill, and it is always in short supply, with a price but no market. This greatly increased the alchemists' enthusiasm for alchemy and invisibly increased the production of other quality pills. In addition, due to the innate talent of the Immortal sect towards low-level cultivators who have become alchemists, they have always adhered to the policy of strong support. The number of alchemists in the Immortal sect far exceeds that of other skilled cultivators. As a result, the price of low-quality pills has been suppressed, which has become a natural occurrence. This trend is not clear to Su Ping about the future of alchemists, nor is it easy to evaluate. But now when he took out 3 spirit stones, Su Ping obtained 230 peiyuan waste pills and 120 qi and blood waste pills. He was still very satisfied with this situation in his heart. I bought a discarded pill and drank up the good tea sent by the old monk. After flattering each other with a few words, Su Ping and the old monk left Yunbao Tower and returned to the street. At this moment, Su Ping realized that there were many small vendors on this street who were the spiritual beasts mentioned by the old monks. This made Su Ping understand that this world of immortality and chivalry also has smart people who do business. These people clearly understand that feeding ordinary beasts with waste pills may not necessarily earn money. But selling ordinary beasts to those who are willing to gamble can definitely earn money, this hard truth. Su Ping swept through the ordinary beasts on these stalls. After thinking for a while, Su Ping took out a medium-grade peiyuan pill and 10 useless pills, and exchanged them for 1 white, 1 gray, 2 mice, and 3 small snakes from a skilled qi practitioner. These 2 mice have bright eyes and seem quite intelligent, able to communicate with humans. This is also the most spiritual beast perceived by Su Ping on this street in this city. It is rumored that after growing up, rodent spirit beasts can be considered a masterpiece in terms of evasion skills. Plus, they are small enough to be inconspicuous even in modern society, so Su Ping felt that there would be a place for them to be useful here. And those 3 little snakes are slightly inferior in quality, just as an addition to these 2 mice. Su Ping has already made plans in his heart. When he cultivates the spirit snake, he can find another place to sell it to make up for the deficit in the spirit stone aspect these days. At night, a bright moon hangs high in the sky. Under the moonlight, in the master's room of Lingyue Villa, Su Ping exchanged all the fish catch for fishing coins, and after removing the purification potion he exchanged last night, there are still 160 coins left. Su Ping looked at the mice and small snakes brought back in 2 separate cages. He smiled slightly and whispered, "Meeting me is your destiny." Su Ping was not in a hurry to use the waste pill, but took out 2 imperial beast talismans from the storage bag. As a promising inspector, Su Ping is naturally prepared for what he will need in the future. Many times, using ferocious beasts is undoubtedly more useful and ensures loyalty compared to people guarding homes and courtyards. Especially when the cultivator is old and frail. Even the most trusted person may change their mind. These 2 beast guarding talismans were bought by Su Ping from his junior brother who had learned beast guarding techniques. It allows ordinary cultivators to also use the beast control technique. Of course, the talisman that Su Ping brought out cannot even be considered a low-level talisman in terms of grade. The displayed technique is called beast control technique, but in fact, it can only be considered as beast control trick and can only work on wild beasts in the mortal world. Therefore, the advantage lies in the cheap price, and the sales target is also cultivators like Su Ping who have descended to the mortal world and enjoyed happiness. Contract. Su Ping bit through the tip of his tongue and spat out 2 mouthfuls of hard work on the talisman. Immediately, these 2 talismans turned into 2 clusters of red light and sank into the trembling white and gray mice in the cage. Squeak. The mouse panicked, and after being hit by the red light, Su Ping's magical imprint came to mind without any resistance. Squeak, squeak. The red light dissipated in the blink of an eye, and the 2 mice were no longer afraid. Instead, they looked at Su Ping with a hint of flattery, who could understand human nature. It's only natural for everything to go smoothly. But just thinking about it, at least I'm a cultivator in the middle stage of Qi cultivation. If I could fail to contract 2 mortal mice, how bad luck would I have? Su Ping felt the profound insight brought by the beast pact and gently spread out his hands. Suddenly, with the expenditure of 30 fishing coins, purification and life elixirs appeared in the palm of the hand. Be obedient and obedient. Take the waste pill first, then drink some life medicine. If you can't resist it anymore, then drink the purification medicine. Su Ping used one hand to discard pills and one hand to use spiritual medicine, and activated his magic to control the mice. With on-site practice, Su Ping found that the minimum amount of spiritual medicine he exchanged was 1 milliliter. A medicine that is less than 1 milliliter will not take effect. It was regrettable that Su Ping was unable to use the infinite subdivision method to test the lower limit of the elixir. However, with the blessing of spiritual medicine, Su Ping's path of feeding the spirit beast with the waste pill is indeed the correct path as he guessed. The white mouse was promoted to a first-level spirit mouse after eating the 6th waste pill. The little gray mouse was promoted successfully during its 4th feeding of the waste pill. Don't be fooled by only taking single-digit waste pills. In fact, without the help of the elixir of life, 2 mice are likely to have been poisoned to death when taking the first waste pill. And there is no purification elixir to remove erysipelas and repair defects. Even if the mouse survives the first pill, it will reach its limit and have no way to advance when the second pill is discarded. In the real world, if any beast wants to become a spiritual beast by relying on waste pills, it may not be even more difficult than winning the first prize in the lottery. Squeak. Becoming spiritual beasts, the 2 mice became even more humanized and could even transmit messages to Su Ping through a contract. Su Ping also opened the cage and released them. The 2 mice turned into ghostly shadows and came out of their cages, lying on Su Ping's left and right shoulders respectively. Since the shipment, they started breathing, swallowing the moonlight essence under the night. Uncontrolled are demon beasts, controlled are spirit beasts. My pair of spirit mice, once successfully promoted, can spontaneously absorb the moonlight. And their spontaneous contract with me continues to deepen, allowing me to vaguely see what they see and hear. This is a performance that only spiritual pets with extremely high compatibility have. I never expected such unexpected joy from contracting and cultivating from the mortal beast onwards. These spiritual pets, if they were to sell spiritual stones, would they have to be in at least 3 digits? Su Ping was pleasantly surprised that he had good luck in his first cultivation and obtained 2 seemingly promising spirit mice. He ignored the self-cultivating mouse and turned his gaze to the little snake. Drawing gourds with a gourd, Su Ping, who had gained experience, took out his self-made syringe and successfully transformed 3 small snakes into spirit beasts. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Respect for the fate of others. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. Respect for the fate of others. Although spirit beasts are more expensive, these spirit snakes can tell at a glance that they are not wild or have been raised since childhood. Too much qi, it's too dangerous to make a move. Su Ping watched as he successfully advanced and crawled into the meat pile prepared by Su Ping. After eating hard, his body quickly expanded to 3 spirit snakes that were nearly 1 meter long. I soon realized that my plan to sell spiritual beasts was a bit risky. Those casual cultivators may not be able to tell, but they can't afford it either. Affordable immortal cultivators will surely discover the problems with these spiritual snakes and realize that they have advanced through external means. Although it is indeed possible for Su Ping to succeed in advancing by defeating Dan, he also used this method. But in reality, Su Ping is worried that others may not believe this fact. Compared to the waste pill, I'm afraid I would doubt if I have any special immortal fate, right? Of course, Su Ping also understands that if he only sells it once or twice, the probability of being suspected of having problems is very low. Okay. For Su Ping, who already has a fishing system and can have a bright future as long as he is a good behind-the-scenes angler, this kind of risk is still not worth taking. Selling spirit beasts is too dangerous. Let's just sell the materials directly. Although we earn less, it's much safer. Su Ping made up his mind and took out the crimson flame wooden sword from the storage bag with his left hand. Shwa! With a movement of the wrist, the wooden sword emitted a dazzling red light. Su Ping, who had practiced qi for 4 layers, used a flat chop and instantly chopped off the heads of the 3 fully fed and drunk spiritual snakes with their backs facing him. Immediately, Su Ping took out the wooden bucket containing blood and the wooden box containing skin, fur, and bones, and skillfully dismantled the spoils of war. Squeak, squeak. 2 mice were also startled by this incident, jumping off Su Ping's shoulders and landing on the desk. After seeing that the spirit snake had been killed, they did not feel any sense of pity for the dead rabbit or fox. Instead, they instinctively showed a longing expression and begged Su Ping for blood and food. Su Ping took out a small bowl, gave snake blood to 2 mice, and divided the snake meat. This is when we continue to work on splitting up. The 3 spirit snakes didn't actually weigh much when taken apart. Su Ping packed the bones of these 3 spirit snakes in a short while. The 3 spirit snakes do not have any demon elixirs, and the material quality is also of the first and lower level, similar to that of a juvenile first-level demon beast. However, this is also due to reason. After all, it is an ordinary beast that has advanced, and it takes at least many years of breeding to have the opportunity to improve its quality. Maybe I can continue to feed the waste Danja Purification spiritual medicine to shorten the cultivation time. Su Ping thought of this and looked at the mouse enjoying the delicious food, taking this idea to heart. When there are more fishing spots in the future and fishing coins are not so scarce, it is possible to give it a try and see if stacking medicine can improve the quality of spiritual pets. Now, after earning the spirit stone, it is more important to improve one's cultivation. After all, if I were to build a foundation for major repairs, I would be able to take over a neighborhood market. At that time, where would the selling point spirit beast come out? I would still be so worried. 3 days later, a bamboo forest surrounded by mist. Su Ping took out a token to dispel the mist, and shortly after walking into the exposed path, I met an acquaintance head-on. The junior brother who once sold Su Ping's beast art talisman, Yunjiu. Although Yunjiu comes from a rural family, he has a dull appearance and a thin skeleton. He usually looks like a young man who doesn't grow up. However, his cultivation level has reached the 4th level of Qi cultivation early, and with his talent for controlling beasts, he is said to be highly valued by the external sect deacon. However, at this moment, Yunjiu's footsteps were floating and his face turned pale. A sharp contrast was formed in temperament with Su Ping, who had successfully advanced. Senior brother Su. How did you come to this Yunshanfang city? Yunjiu was somewhat surprised. He heard about this senior brother with the worst cultivation going down the mountain to become a guard. Junior brother Yun. Su Ping showed a smiling face, and after greeting, he directly said the prepared words. Fortunately, when going hunting outside the city, I encountered several low-level demon snakes. Although I couldn't catch the big snake, I left behind a few snake cubs. I don't know how to use the split monster materials, so I have to exchange them for some spirit stones. Su Ping did not lie. Before coming, he did organize the servants of the villa to go hunting and performed a scene of chasing monsters. A demon snake. Yunjiu's eyes lit up as he listened. He helped his slightly sore waist and immediately asked Su Ping to buy snake blood. Su Ping naturally wouldn't refuse, and subtly reminded that even the matter between the cultivator and the man should not be excessive. The female cultivators in this immortal and wonderful building are all extraordinary in their abilities. Even if they don't deliberately harvest and collect money to handle affairs, they can't stop the male cultivators from withstanding their own foundation setbacks. And judging from Yunjiu's current appearance, he doesn't seem to be able to withstand it. However, with all that said, Su Ping wouldn't say anything extra. The elders of the immortal sect don't care about these things, where is it his turn to worry? Yunjiu took a sip of snake blood on the spot, and his face immediately turned slightly rosy. My body is still weak. He paused with some regret. It's a bit useful, but not much. The quality of this demon snake is a bit low. I really need to practice for a while longer this time before I can come back. Thank you, senior brother. Please rest assured that Fairy Luo has me in her heart and has taught me the art of nourishing and accumulating strength. I have a sense of propriety. Yunjiu collected the remaining snake blood, bowed his hand and bid farewell to Su Ping, then hurriedly walked into the mist and disappeared. Su Ping withdrew his gaze, but memories related to Yunjiu flashed through his mind. He vaguely remembered that this junior apprentice seemed to have been targeted by a small group by the external deacon, which led him to fall in love with a female cultivator in the neighborhood. Su Ping keenly felt that it might not be that simple, but he did not delve into it. As long as it does not hinder his fishing, cultivation, and longevity. Let go of the helpfulness complex and respect the fate of others. Follow the path all the way into the depths of the bamboo forest and officially enter Yunshanfang city. After the mist dissipated, a bustling town suddenly appeared in front of me. Previously, there was nothing comparable to Jiufeng city. As one of the official markets of the Red Lantern Immortal sect, Yunshanfang city has a second-level lower-level spiritual pulse, which further increases the concentration of spiritual energy through the constraints of the formation. In addition, there are multiple guardians stationed during the foundation repair. With this, it attracted many monk families around to reside here for a long time. Various industries related to cultivating immortality also have branches in this area, making it an extremely important trading place in this region. Su Ping wanted to deal with monster meat, so naturally it was most convenient in such a place. No need to set up a stall, just go to the most famous restaurant in the neighborhood and replace all the snake materials in the storage bag with spirit stones in one breath. The kitchen of the restaurant had some reservations about the snake meat sold by Su Ping, thinking it was the lowest grade snake meat he had ever seen. But no one suspects that these snake meat evolved from ordinary beasts. After all, using controllable spirit beasts as monster meat to sell, this kind of unscrupulous buying and selling has never been done in this territory before. Including the previous savings, the spirit stone has finally recovered to 3 digits. Su Ping felt the quantity of spirit stones in the storage bag, which made him relax and feel much more at ease. After finally coming to Yunshanfang City, Su Ping naturally had no intention of saying goodbye. Considering the only item in the fishing mall, the return to the city charm, it may bring some surprises. Su Ping made a decision and headed towards the main road in Fangshi, initiating a procurement model. Good magic tools, it doesn't matter if you can't afford high-level talismans. You can only hide your invisibility talismans from ordinary people and start with a fight. The previously reluctant robe has also been replaced with a new one with added fog magic. There is also a set of array flags that can be used to arrange simple arrays. Buy some low-level spiritual fruit spirits that are beneficial for both cultivators and mortals, as well as soothing incense that helps with meditation. Although the spirit stones are worn out, Su Ping, however, only felt that he had become much more relaxed and had more confidence in the future. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Blessing of the Fishing Man God. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7 Blessing of the Fishing Man God. Gain fishing experience +1, obtain little green fish +1, gain fishing experience +1, obtain big green fish +1. By the shore of Linghua Lake, it was still the same old place where I went fishing for the first time. Just as the fishing spot had refreshed its recovery times, it welcomed Su Ping's fishing. As the number of fishing increases, Su Ping also went from initially dismissive of his fishing hobby to understanding the joy of fishing. And now, from the bottom of my heart, I have fallen in love with fishing. Use simple and easy to understand metaphors. Fishing gives Su Ping the feeling of playing a large-scale open-world card game. Every time the fishing line shakes, it is the beginning of a draw. And the moment the fish are caught, it is the time to draw out the golden light. The nervousness and anticipation towards the unknown fish catch, as well as the satisfaction of getting something done by oneself, add up in pairs. No wonder even without the support of fishing systems, real fishermen still enjoy it tirelessly. The refreshing frequency of this fishing spot in Linghua Lake is once every 7 days. The refresh times range from 30 to 70, and can be accumulated but cannot exceed the maximum limit of 100 times. This time it refreshed 50 fishing attempts. One morning, Su Ping used up most of it. Su Ping is still unsatisfied. However, in the past few days, taking advantage of the gap in cultivation, Su Ping also went to several well-known fishing spots around, but after fishing, he was unable to activate new fishing spots. This made Su Ping realize that trying to find fishing spots everywhere by fishing is not an easy task. Fortunately, Su Ping remembered that after the level of the fishing mall increased, there would be a fishing compass exchange for finding new fishing spots inside. Once this prop is in hand, you can search for a fishing spot yourself and don't need to operate like a blind cat hitting a dead mouse now. While fishing and thinking about things, Su Ping suddenly felt a slight tremble in the fishing line. But in the game, a fish has taken the bait again. Ding! After some operation, as soon as he caught the fish, Su Ping suddenly realized that there were too many pleasant prompts for this shipment. With a movement in his heart, he quickly glanced at the information flow. Gain fishing experience +1, current fishing level. Level 2, 45/500, obtain green spirit fish +1, sleeping slot. Green spirit fish. Cherish the quality and exchange it for the only item of green spirit fish. I really have the talent and luck to become a fisherman. Su Ping was very excited and stopped fishing for the remaining 5 times. After exiting the game, he opened the game warehouse and checked the newly caught green spirit fish. Green spirit fish, quality. Cherish, delicious and edible meat, can be kept as an ornamental fish in the pot to increase the production of spiritual energy in the cave, increase spiritual energy output. Su Ping stared at this explanation and his heart became hot. The Huzhong cave is also one of the only items that can be exchanged in the fishing mall after reaching a higher level. In the game, to put it simply, it belongs to the player's home system. In this real world of cultivation. This is the personal secret realm, a small world. And look at the explanation of the green spirit fish. In the future, if you catch more spirit fish yourself, you will produce more spiritual energy. Isn't it possible to plant spiritual fields and cultivate spiritual objects in the Huzhong cave like those in the Xianmen Square Market, and even invite some scattered cultivators to work for oneself through the Huzhong cave's invitation system? From doing things on your own to letting others do things for you, this is a safe way to get rich. Su Ping seemed to see a bright future and was waving to himself. He quickly took a deep breath and calmed down the restlessness. The right hand clenched the fishing rod again. Don't think so much about unfinished things. I am still an ordinary fisherman now, and I still need to stand in front of my eyes and catch the remaining fish first. Blessed by the god of fishing guys, I'm not greedy. 2 more. Oh no, just 1 green spirit fish. Su Ping threw out his fishing rod and started fishing again. Unfortunately, it seems that luck has been exhausted by the green spirit fish, and the next 5 fish catches will only be small green fish. It's good to have a little green fish. Last time I caught all the fish and exchanged them for fishing coins. This time, if I want to exchange them for the return to city spell, I need a little green fish. Su Ping shook his head slightly and used physical methods to tie up a large carp from the Lingyue Lake. After landing, he stood up and ended his fishing activities for the day. Returning to Lingyue Villa, Su Ping looked towards the game warehouse. In the warehouse, there are a total of 40 small green fish, 9 large green fish, and 1 green spirit fish stored during this fishing harvest. Return to city spell exchange requires 100 little green fish, 10 big green fish, 1 green spirit fish. I have already obtained the least likely green spirit fish, and the remaining small and large green fish are just a matter of time. As for the requirements for cultivation, there are still as many as 150 fishing coins left from the last exchange, which is enough for me to use for a while. Good luck today, it's time to celebrate. At noon on that day, following Su Ping's order, everyone in Lingyue Villa received more or less rewards and set up a flowing water banquet, allowing all the servants in the villa to enjoy delicious food. Many newly recruited poor servants have also received meat buns that can be taken home for the first time. The name of Su Ping Immortal's kindness has also spread widely in the territory of Jinkai City. Xiao and Xiao Hui won over ordinary people. Ha! Our supervisor is not bad. It seems that they are planning to stay in our Jinkai City for the long term. Jinkai City, in the Lord's mansion, the Lord and others heard about this and began to speculate. I had no idea that this was just Su Ping's casual move in a good mood. With the fishing man system, Su Ping's vision was already on a different level than those of the local snakes like Jinkai City. Sigh. Observe again and let some wind pass before the next transaction. If it's really interesting, it's not impossible for me to share some profits in that matter. The Lord set the tone in a low voice. Among the others, there were some who were unwilling, but they had to bow down and respond when they thought about the identity of the inspector and the prestige of the city lord. Inside the Lingyue Villa, in the master's room. After advancing to the 4th level of Qi cultivation for a week, Su Ping took the purification elixir for the 2nd time. This time, Su Ping resisted the temptation of the purification potion to himself. I only took 1/10 of a bottle of purification elixir, which is the minimum amount that the elixir can take effect. 1 milliliter. Who? After taking the elixir, Su Ping immediately closed his eyes and exhaled for a while, then let out a long breath of white air. Immediately, joy flashed in his eyes. The mention of purification elixirs not exceeding the 3rd level is definitely much higher than the Qi cultivation stage in cultivation. I took the same amount of Peiyuan pill as I did a year ago this week, but I still used the abandoned pill. If it were for these 3 discarded Peiyuan pills from before, I wouldn't be able to advance in my life. Now, with just 1 milliliter of purification elixir, it has returned to its original state. In terms of mana progress, this week can offset the previous 3 months of hard work. Su Ping took out a discarded Peiyuan Dan and gently swallowed it in his mouth. Feeling the medicinal power slowly released into the body, the mana began to slowly increase. Su Ping was filled with emotions. I have never repaired such a fast immortal before. At this pace, if nothing unexpected happens. Before the age of 50. I hope to build a foundation. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Such a wonderful world. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. Such a wonderful world. The territory under the jurisdiction of the Red Yuan Immortal sect. Most external disciples will be stuck in the middle stage of Qi cultivation for their entire lives and cannot make any progress. Just like the external gatekeeper at the same time, the number of people who can enter the later stage of Qi cultivation will not exceed 1%. And if it's possible to cultivate Qi to perfection before the age of 60, then it's possible to build a foundation. As Su Ping saw, there hasn't been a single person out in the past 20 years. It is said that those talented inner disciples and even true practitioners will complete their Qi training before the age of 40, and then spend 5 to 10 years polishing their foundation while accumulating contributions to exchange for foundation building pills to prepare for foundation building. Generally speaking, those who can successfully build foundations before the age of 50 can be called geniuses of cultivation. Su Ping has been practicing immortality for 20 years and has just turned 40 this year. By not being afraid of taking pills and drugs for cultivation, we can also keep up with the progress of those immortal geniuses. And Su Ping believes that with the help of purifying spiritual medicine, he doesn't need to polish his foundation or exchange those expensive and outrageous finished building pills. Find an opportunity to secretly buy a few or even dozens of waste building pills. If you can't do it once, you can do it again immediately. I am not afraid of the side effects of failing to build a foundation, and I will definitely be able to build a foundation successfully and leave those geniuses of the same age far behind. 1 week later. Beside an unnamed lake on the outskirts of Jinkai City. Su Ping, who set out alone to search for a fishing spot, regretfully put away his fishing gear. Including this week, I have almost traveled all the fishing spots around Jinkai City, and even tried several streams and riverbanks deep in the mountains and forests, but all of them were unsuccessful. I'm really lucky to be able to activate the system in Linghua Lake. However, as my cultivation deepens this week, starting next week, I can try taking 4 waste Peiyuan Dan to assist in cultivation. This feeling of constantly deepening cultivation is really good. The refresh time has passed, it's time to go back. Su Ping had just stood up when suddenly 2 mice on his shoulders squeaked softly twice. Su Ping made a slight movement and immediately understood under the linkage of consciousness, but the spirit mouse warned him that other cultivators were rushing towards this place. As a contractor, Su Ping still trusts the sensing ability of spirit mice very much. These 2 adorable little ones remain unchanged in size after being extraordinary. Although their combat power is worrying, they have awakened the detection and warning talents of rodents, and their range far exceeds that of Su Ping himself. Undoubtedly, this is the spiritual pet that I admire. The warning range can be at least 10 kilometers, and I'm afraid no one can have such a warning range during the refining period. No matter what the other party wants to do, it has nothing to do with me, a fisherman. It's better to leave early. Su Ping didn't intend to meddle in his own business. With a single movement of his left hand, he quickly cleared the traces on the lakeside and left the area. A few hours later, Su Ping appeared by the shore of Lingyue Lake and began fishing. This week, the fishing spot at Lingyue Lake was lucky, with 70 new fishing attempts. Su Ping washed his hands, calmly started fishing, and in an afternoon, he finished fishing all the times this week. Current fishing level. Level 2, 120/500. At present, the number of fishing spots available has been exhausted. Please continue next time. As usual, a large grass carp was tied up to end fishing, and Su Ping stood up and turned to look beside him. The maid Pinger and the servants, upon discovering Su Ping's appearance by the lake, patiently waited on her left and right. Upon seeing Su Ping finish, he immediately came up to serve and served a fruit platter and tea soup. The cook also took the fish bag and looked at the still confused big grass carp, thinking of at least 9 ways to prepare grass carp-related dishes. While enjoying and observing the harvest, Su Ping couldn't help but flash a hint of joy in his eyes. This time, a total of 60 small green fish and 10 large green fish were obtained. With inventory added, there are already 100 small green fish, 19 large green fish, and 1 green spirit fish in the game warehouse. The only item required for the return to city charm has been met. Returning to the Lingyue villa, Su Ping immediately called the butler to arrange a series of new requirements. Then I went to my own warehouse in the villa and put some of the common items that may be needed, such as gold, silver, jewelry, etc., in the storage bag. After another big meal and a good rest, I used the excuse of going out for night fishing to stay away from Lingyue villa. Su Ping hid in a secluded cave outside the Lingyue mountain villa, ensuring that even if there were any anomalies in the props, they could be hidden in the mountains and forests. This is when I used the fishing mall function to exchange the only item, the return to city spell. The returning city charm is said to be a talisman, and its essence is more like a jade pendant, about the size of a child's palm, with lifelike fish patterns engraved on both sides. Su Ping inexplicably thought of the legendary double fish jade pendant. Return to city spell, unique. After use, it can be immediately teleported back to the default or temporary teleportation point, with a cooldown of 12 hours. Temporary teleportation point. Not set, default delivery point. Deliverable, Su Ping took several deep breaths, silently recited the Qingxin mantra several times, and then pulled out an invisible talisman from his storage bag. No matter whether it's useful or not, it's safe to pat on the body and hide the figure. Then Su Ping placed the temporary teleportation point in this cave. Even if we can really go back to the water blue star, we cannot give up in the immortal cultivation realm. If we can't come back, then we will really lose a lot. Everything was ready, so Su Ping chose to use the return to the city spell. Whether it's possible to cultivate immortality and longevity as soon as possible depends on this step. Return to city charm, activate. In the cave where Su Ping was located, a faint invisible blue light flashed through. Immediately, the cave became completely quiet. Water blue star. A ward on the 3rd floor of an abandoned women's and children's hospital located on the outskirts of a small inland city. Su Ping shook his body and adjusted to the light, then his eyes saw where he was. He couldn't recognize where this was. But through the familiarity that surged up from the depths of my soul, I realized that I had really returned to Aqua Blue Star. This world without spiritual energy made Su Ping, who had become a cultivator, feel a faint discomfort in his body. But it couldn't stop Su Ping's joy in his heart. Spiritual energy is the foundation of transcendence. If the foundation no longer exists, transcendence becomes the water without a source. This is an ordinary world without spiritual energy and extraordinary existence foundation. For those who want to live forever, it is undoubtedly a hopeless world with no possibility at all. For me, this ordinary world is really wonderful. Does this seem like a hospital ward? Su Ping scanned the surroundings and noticed the outdated layout, feeling a bit confused. The default teleportation point for the Return to City charm is the player's birthplace, so this is my birthplace on Aqua Blue Star. Am I born here? Fortunately, time has passed and this place should have been abandoned for a long time, otherwise I might encounter some trouble when teleporting over. Squeak, squeak. Su Ping also jumped out of his pocket with 2 spirit mice, one white and one gray, and lay on their shoulders, which reassured them. The unfamiliar and lifeless environment made the 2 mice very anxious, with Su Ping by their side. Otherwise, they would just want to burrow and escape immediately. Su Ping walked to the window without glass and looked into the distance, feeling a bit lost in the familiar yet unfamiliar city. 20 years have passed, and there is indeed a discrepancy between what I remember and what I remember. It seems that time has passed in both worlds during this period. If you don't want to cause trouble, it's best not to use my previous identity. During the new book period, we will maintain 2 chapters per day and try to update them before 7 p.m. Thank you to our book friends for their support. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Now is the time for the spirit mouse to come into play. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. Now is the time for the spirit mouse to come into play. Su Ping withdrew his gaze from the window and gently extended his right hand. Bang! With the movement of magic, an orange flame appeared out of thin air in Su Ping's palm. Looking at the flames, Su Ping sighed inwardly. Good news, spells can be successfully released, and they work just like in this world. But the mana used in this place cannot be automatically replenished. With my current cultivation level of practicing 4 layers of Qi, I will exhaust my mana in just a few moves here. Unless I use magic potions or use spiritual stones to provide spiritual power for meditation recovery. However, for me now, this kind of recovery method is a bit extravagant. A gentle flick of the wrist extinguished the flames. Su Ping took out his Qi Yen wooden sword and quickly swung a set of sword moves towards the front. Sword light left remnants and piercing sounds in the ward space. Dozens of cracks appeared on the wall opposite Su Ping with a swish. The spell's durability is insufficient, but the extraordinary physical power cultivated after 20 years of cultivation has been preserved. When encountering others, even without using spells, I still have a great advantage. The key is to rely on food and drink to replenish energy and recover. After returning, I can consider the path of physical fitness. As someone who possesses a purifying spiritual medicine that can be used for drug cultivation, it shouldn't be a problem for me to cultivate both my martial arts and physical abilities. Besides, little white, little gray. Now it's your turn to turn this place into a home ground. Su Ping let out a soft drink, and the 2 spirit mice lying on their shoulders were instructed to quickly stand up. After creaking twice, they jumped down and rushed out of the room in different directions. Su Ping closed his eyes and the perspectives of 2 spirit mice, Xiao Bai and Xiao Hui, came to mind. As a spirit mouse, Xiao Bai Xiao Hui can at least be considered an extraordinary species. Speed, stamina, and agility are all much stronger than the mice of Aqua Blue Star. With their small size, Su Ping decided to make them pioneers in exploration as soon as he confirmed that this territory was his hometown. And as the spirit mouse moves away, Su Ping suddenly noticed that as a spirit mouse, Xiao Bai Xiaohui had become a natural king in this land's rodent population. Sensing the mice of Little White and Little Gray, they all took the initiative to lie motionless on the ground, conveying to them a message of submission that only rodents could understand. The move of cultivating spirit mice is really the right one. Sensing the unexpected joy, Su Ping smiled. In this hometown where there is no spiritual energy, he has very few skills and techniques, and he needs any way to enhance his combat power. Using the spirit mouse command to group mice as a supplement to combat power is undoubtedly a good way. But this matter is not urgent, just take note of it for now. A few minutes later. Ling Shu Xiaowei has already moved away from the abandoned hospital and, following the instructions of his owner in his mind, crossed a road and arrived at a residential area. Squeak. Arriving at an alley, Xiaowei suddenly stopped and shouted at the garbage bin in the corner of the alley. Meow. A dirt yellow stray cat squatting in the shadow of the trash can strolled out in surprise, staring at the spirit mouse Xiaowei with some suspicion. The mouse in front of me looks like the food it often grabs and plays with, and it smells like the food it often uses for tooth worship. But why, being stared at by it makes one feel inexplicably anxious. Meow. The stray cat disliked this feeling and simply meowed and rushed towards Little Gray. Although Spirit Mouse and Little Gray are extraordinary, after all, they have only evolved for a short time. Seeing the instinctive stopping of Big Cat. Now seeing the other party attacking, it was a supernatural instinct that made it move at once, and the last one turned into a shadow that fell on the face of the incoming stray cat. Meow. The screams rang out from the alley, and in no time, a yellow stray cat rushed out with a face covered in blood, its eyes filled with panic and disbelief. At the entrance of the alley, a middle school student with a backpack on his back opened his mouth in an O shape and watched everything happening in the alley. Has this little mouse become sperm? Surprisingly, I beat the rhubarb away. The junior high school student muttered to himself, trying to find the magical mouse, but he never saw the other person's trace. Ling Shu Xiaowei had already entered the community and, after a few seconds, found Su Ping looking for his whereabouts. A small Taoist temple located in this residential area. Dongwang Temple. This Dongwang Temple worships the Dongwang Duke and has a history of hundreds of years here. Although very small, with only 2 small halls and several rooms in the front and back, as a historical and cultural heritage, it can be considered a cultural calling card of this block. Therefore, even the buildings in the neighborhood have already changed over the past few decades. At least the Taoist temple still looks like that on the outside. When Su Ping was a child, he also visited this Taoist temple with his parents and was very interested in the only old practitioner in the temple. In Su Ping's childhood heart, the old Taoist who often helped the elderly in the community seek medical treatment and prescribe medicine must have been a wise master. Unfortunately, as he grew up, Su Ping secretly went to find this Taoist priest to learn true skills, but was told that the cultivation in this era was different from what he had imagined. Even true cultivators cannot cultivate the various supernatural powers in his second fantasy. Su Ping still pestered the Taoist to learn a few moves, but soon gave up due to hard work and slow results. Su Ping, whose dream had shattered, decided to study hard, give up fantasies, and embrace the path of science in exchange for a happy life. But I don't want to be manipulated. Returning now, I am truly an extraordinary cultivator in my imagination. Squeak, squeak. Ling Mouse and Xiao Hui secretly sneaked into the Taoist temple. The mouse's eyes scanned the surroundings, and Su Ping quickly noticed that the Taoist standing in the hall was no longer the kind and amiable old practitioner, taking advantage of the other person's field of vision. But it was replaced by a Taoist with a short chin and a youthful face. At this moment, the hall had already closed, and the Taoist priest was reading the scriptures while using headphones to communicate with someone. Su Ping let Xiao Hui quietly eavesdrop for a while. It seems that this young Taoist is on a phone with his senior brothers, pouring out the bitterness of taking over the Taoist temple during this period. Then we talked about our cultivation experience. From his tone, Su Ping could sense that this young Taoist had a strong desire to seek the Tao. It's no wonder I can run alone to take over this Taoist temple. Su Ping remembers that the old practitioner mentioned that authentic Taoists do not have a salary. For small Taoist temples like this, the upper court will allocate some supplies every month to ensure food and drink, as well as a small amount of pocket money. On the other hand, the spirit mouse Xiao Bai also arrived at its destination. Su Ping's former home in this world. The previous residential building is still there, but it is obvious that both inside and outside have been re-maintained. And on the exterior wall, there are also external elevators that facilitate the entry and exit of the elderly in the building. Su Ping commanded Xiao Bai to sneak in, intending only to see what had changed in his previous residence. I climbed to the third floor, then jumped onto the balcony along the outer wall and entered my former residence. Su Ping saw the room where he used to live, and now it seems that he has changed to a new household. The decoration layout has undergone significant changes, not to mention. From the group photo on the cabinet, it appears that there is a pair of grandparents living here now. I don't know if they bought this place or rented it. Things are different from people. Su Ping sighed and instructed Xiao Bai to leave this memory land. Su Ping, who had not seen anyone familiar, did not intend to have more contact with strangers. Searching is not urgent at this moment. And, before being strong enough, interacting with close people actually leaves a loophole in oneself. It also leaves danger for the other party. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. The Sergeant asks, diligent and acting. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. The Sergeant asks, diligent and acting in the ward, Su Ping, who relied on two spirit mice, Xiao Bai and Xiao Hui, to collect information, felt somewhat confident. He slowly opened his eyes, stood up and looked at the expired invisibility spell. After that, he took out a new invisibility spell and patted it on his body. I just jumped up and left the birthplace directly through the window, heading towards the East King Temple. Within the Dongwang Temple. The young Taoist who took over this temple, surnamed Zhou Mingxian, actually comes from a decent background as he has just turned 20 this year. When studying in a monastery, one falls under the enviable category of not being able to complete the path, not being able to obtain a certificate, and still being able to inherit several buildings for rent. However, in ancient books, Zhou Xian should be the kind of sergeant who asks questions and acts diligently. It seems like a natural Taoist, who was taken by an elderly family member to a Taoist temple to burn incense and worship the gods when he was young and had poor health. Unexpectedly, after being exposed to Taoist knowledge, he became obsessed with it. And all his academic talents were outstanding, which amazed the people of the Taoist Academy. After all, it was only then that his parents agreed to go on the path of enlightenment. Although in these years and years of cultivation, one cannot achieve the divine power of stealing the sky and changing the sun. Not many people believe that there are ghosts and gods on their heads anymore. But if you really want to become famous in this industry, it can actually be considered a good way out for individuals. As a great practitioner, one can also have a certain social status. And most importantly, the faction that has been involved cannot help but get married. I also adhere to the principle of voluntary love for cultivation, and as long as I am willing, I can withdraw and become an ordinary layman at any time. And dealing with oneself is also highly valued, and this time the Dongwang Temple is just an experience. In a short period of 6 months, in a long period of 1 year, one will be selected to continue their cultivation and further education in a famous mountain or temple. After talking to friends and finishing the meditation homework, he didn't care about these false names. It's better to be in the monastery or in this small Taoist temple. He is more concerned about his own cultivation. Just, can't this world really become a true immortal? Zhou Xian lowered his head and looked at the floor with a slight sigh of unwillingness. Although he has practiced Taoism for many years, he is still a young man who has just turned 20. In the current information age, it is inevitable to encounter many related fantasies and aspire to those cultivators in anime novels. As a young Taoist, he also wants to fight 10 or even fly with a sword to slay demons and eliminate them. Unfortunately, the practice in the fantasy world is not the same as that in the real world. It can only be regarded as irrelevant. It is not a big problem to cultivate one's character through meditation. Slaying demons and eliminating demons can only be achieved through daydreaming. Sigh, it's time to cook. After some maneuvering, there is no need to check the clock time. After years of practice, he can now determine his daily meal schedule based on his senses. Cooking with rice and observing the blessings of water and electricity, using the electric rice cooker directly does not require chopping wood and burning fire like in the Cultivation novel. Is there anyone in the master's room? After cooking the rice and entering the backyard to cook some cold dishes, I suddenly realized that the door to my room had been opened. And from the window, there are figures inside. He was slightly taken aback and quickly walked over. Is it some wandering Taoist? My Taoist temple doesn't care about food and lodging. Stepping into the threshold, the first thing I saw was the swirling of the blue Taoist robe, and I was thinking of a fellow Taoist who saw the Taoist temple here and ran over. With both hands making a ritual, I was about to speak. His mouth opened slightly, but he suddenly lost his voice when he saw the other person turn around. There's no way. Su Ping, who had already practiced Qi for 4 floors, appeared in this room. Wearing a brand new dustproof Taoist robe, stepping on cloud-patterned cloth shoes, and carrying an ancient sword scabbard on his back, his temperament is truly extraordinary, mysterious, and awe-inspiring. At first glance, it reminded Zhou Xian of the descriptions of exiled immortals in ancient books. Even if I no longer believe that there are immortals in this world. After seeing Su Pingxian Yen, it still made his eyes sparkle with amazement. He quickly made a gift and changed his words. This Tao is friendly. I am the current abbot of the Dongwang Temple. Is there anything I can help you with when you come to Dongwang Temple, Taoist friend? Looking at the little Taoist with a humble attitude in the blink of an eye. Su Ping touched his pristine and flawless chin, looked at the different layout of the room, and slowly said. Former abbot. And that Taoist you? Yu Dao Chang. The former abbot was Niu Dao Chang. Wait, the Taoist friend is asking about the Yu Guanzhu who passed away 12 years ago. 12 years ago, the immortal passed away. Although Su Ping had already speculated, he still shook his head slightly with some emotion. Zhou Xian carefully observed Su Ping, watching the other person's reaction as if he had guessed correctly. Then he looked at the other person's ethereal temperament and indistinguishable age face. He vaguely realized something and his gaze towards Su Ping showed a hint of eagerness. I have an old acquaintance with Master Yu. I feel a sense in my heart today, so I am returning to the old place, but I don't want to say that I have passed away. Su Ping whispered, speaking the truth. He truly knows the master of the East King Temple. It's just not the kind of understanding that the other person guesses. This view has always been related to me, and this time I'm going down the mountain, I plan to stay here for a while. Please keep these gold so that you can help me purchase some necessary items. Speaking of this, Su Ping stretched out his right hand and lightly wiped the wooden table inside the wing room. The 3 small gold bars were lying neatly on the table, causing them to spin around and widen their eyes. Trick or magic? Looking at the sudden appearance of a gold bar on the table, Su Ping looked around and then looked at Su Ping with a calm expression, as if it was normal for him to transform into a gold bar with just one touch. He struggled in his heart for a moment, then made up his mind and quickly bowed, saying forcefully. The Taoist is an old friend of Master Yu, and it is my honor to be willing to live here. Please ask the Taoist to help me clarify my doubts. May I ask Chang, is there a true way to cultivate immortality and longevity in this world? Mustering the courage to ask, Zhou Xian tensed his body and looked at Su Ping. Is it true to cultivate immortality and longevity? Upon hearing these words, Su Ping looked at Zhou Xian with a hopeful expression of true feelings, and the corners of his mouth slightly curled up. He chose to settle down at Dongwang Temple first. The natural goal is to quickly integrate into the Aqua Blue Star Society and make good use of the resources here. The best way to quickly integrate and minimize attention is to find a native spokesperson to help. Then Su Ping conducted a preliminary analysis by collecting information. This is a cycle of seeking the Tao, and as a cultivator of Dongwang Temple who has a certain status and is more passionate about mystery than others, he naturally entered Su Ping's eyes for the first time. Is it foolish to report extraordinary clues in exchange for unfounded rewards, or to obey and act in exchange for the possibility of stepping into the forefront of extraordinary things? Su Ping believes that he can be recognized by the Taoist Academy, obtain a certificate, and become the master of the One View. Being a smart person will make smart choices. And, if the other person is not pretending to ask questions, then for such a cultivator, what is more important than the opportunity to cultivate the true Dharma? This kind of person's obsession with cultivating immortality. Su Ping has seen many during his 20 years in the cultivation world. Coincidentally, he is a genuine cultivator who can transform into the biggest demon in the heart of the current turmoil. Ha ha ha. The method of cultivating immortality is extremely difficult, but there is always one. Su Ping waved his sleeves and laughed freely. Immediately, he silently employed the technique of guarding objects. Chang. The Qi-Yen wooden sword flew out of the scabbard behind Su Ping with a clang, and after flying around in mid-air, it suddenly hovered in front of Zhou Xian. At this moment, the sun is setting in the west. Some glaring red light shone through the window in this small room. The folds of the wooden sword, which are reflected in the air, shine brightly. The spinning eyes that stared at this wooden sword began to sting. He couldn't bear to blink. For the first time in his life, he saw truly extraordinary means surprisingly, that's why. Crazy. End of this chapter.